Today on the Topping Show, Trump border policy video goes viral. Vivek on how Trump could possibly pardon himself. Mark Hamill says vote for Joe-Bi-Wan Kenobi. 9 NFL teams skip Pride Day post. United Methodist Church loses 1 million members over the LGBTQ policy. Elon X is the only platform not giving into government censorship. X to officially allow adult content. Roundup $2.25 billion verdict is now cut down to $400 million. Trader Joe's $4 tote bag is now selling for 10x plus on electronicbay.com, and Toyota apologizes for cheating on certification test. All of that and much more on The Topping Show. Thank you everyone for taking the time to tune in today. Today's episode of The Topping Show is proudly sponsored by Topping Technologies. Topping Technologies is an IT value-added reseller and services company with a special proficiency in IT security. Heck, I see their founder released twice today. I say he's quite handsome and brilliant. He's me, you see, that's the joke. If you're an IT leader or a business owner, you can reach out to the team at sales@toppingtechnologies.com. Also, trying to get to 4,000 subscribers by the end of the month, so if you could click that button, I would greatly appreciate it. Now going over to the business part of the podcast, you have X Twitter to officially allow adult content, and I'm not talking about taxes, which is reminiscent of my favorite comic book as a child, Calvin and Hobbes, where, yeah, that's a funny joke there. But nevertheless, for eons, Twitter had apparently had a bunch of adult content on there, and it sounds like there wasn't really an official policy, as long as I guess it wasn't a felony. And, well, actually, no, under the old leadership, they actually had some of that, and interestingly enough, the government did nothing. But nevertheless, Elon took over and tried to clean up a little bit and get rid of the illegal stuff, at least. Now, they're officially saying you can post adult content on it. Now, this is first brought to us thanks to NBC News, and they say, quote, Elon X is allowing users to post consensual adult content, formalizing prior Twitter policy. Adult material was allowed under pre-Musk Twitter as well, although there was no official policy in place. And you have that picture of the iconic logo that was tossed upon that building last year. Now, going over to the actual specifics, they say, quote, in a recent website update, the San Francisco-based company said users should be able to create, distribute, and consume material related to sexual themes as long as it is consensually produced and distributed. Sexual expression, whether visual or written, can be a legitimate form of artistic expression. Adult material was allowed under pre-Musk Twitter as well, although there's no official policy in place. X said it was restricting adult content for children and for adult users who choose not to see it. They also said, quote, we also prohibited content promoting exploitation, non-consentive, objectification, sexualization, or harm to minors and obscene behaviors. They added it does not allow sharing adult content in, quote, highly visible places, such as users' profile photos or banners. X policy stands in contrast to other social media platforms such as Meta Properties, Instagram, and Facebook, as well as TikTok and Google's YouTube. They also had a professor at Cornell University who said, quote, platforms move to allow adult content dovetails well with the company's post-Musk marketing strategy. X is unapologetically provocative and sought to distinguish itself from brand-safe competitors, unquote. Now, the real question is this really going to propel their sales at Twitter? Granted, being a free speech absolutist, yes, it absolutely makes sense from a policy standpoint. I'm not sure from a business perspective how this is going to increase their sales. Now, I don't think Elon's desire is for it to strictly become an adult content distribution mechanism. It's one of those things where one of those fascinating business use cases I've read about in several years was a IT entrepreneur formed a company called MindGeek, which, spoiler, is a Canadian adult theme distribution company. They bought out all the adult website, well, all the adult content and transitioned it to website and internet. And it's the largest distribution mechanism for adult content on the planet, bar none. And granted, they also have probably billions of dollars in reserve. I don't think from a business perspective, Elon's going to be able to beat them. Pun, of course, moderately intended. But will this actually push people away? I mean, it's one of those things where, again, you're able to choose what you see as a user. So it sounds like there's going to be like a safe mode, so to say, where you can just click on or off, do you want to see these types of things on your news feed or when you're searching the X or Twitter? But I don't know how this is going to... And again, free speech, I understand why he's doing this from being a free speech absolutist. I think Elon's kind of come to the piece that advertisers aren't going to frolic to it. they're missing a lot of what advertisers desire most, like job titles and further demographic nomenclature and further demographic breakdown, like competitors like LinkedIn has, for example. And I'm actually not too surprised he chose this policy. Do you think it'll actually, again, do you think this will cause people to drop from the site and stop using Twitter? Do you think it could actually have people increasing the usage of Twitter? Will they sign up for it just to reach those types of materials? Interesting debate. Let me know in the comments. As always, I'd be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Other interesting business news, you have Roundup, $2.25 billion verdict now cut down to $400 million. Now this comes to us thanks to the OG website Yahoo, which, great business use case, they could have sold for $40 billion to Microsoft. They thought that was a low ball offer, so they said no. Subsequently, they sold for about $4 billion to Verizon, I believe. Timing is after everything in life. Now, back to the OG website Yahoo, and it's actually reposted by Reuters. They say, quote, judge cuts Bayer $2.25 billion Roundup verdict to $400 million, which I'm not too surprised. Again, this is like for one individual, and it is common for businesses to have these types of fines to send a message, so to say. But again, 2.25, that, yeah. So going down to the specifics of the article by Dietrich Kunoth. Now they say that New York Reuters, a Pennsylvania judge on Tuesday slashed a $2.25 billion U.S. verdict against Bayer to $400 million for a Pennsylvania man who said he developed cancer from exposure to the company's Roundup weed killer. A jury in the Philadelphia District Court of Common Pleas found that John McKibben's non-Hodgkin's lymphoma was a result of using Roundup for yard work at his house for several years, and it ordered Bayer to pay $250 million in compensatory damages and $2 billion in punitive damages. Judge Susan Shulman granted some of Bayer's post-trial motions, challenging that verdict, reducing the compensatory damages to $50 million and punitive damages to $350 million. Bayer said it would continue to appeal to the Superior Court of Pennsylvania, challenging the trial court's decision to allow the jury to hear what it called misleading and inflammatory testimony. Bayer says, quote, while the court's decision reduces the unconstitutional excessive damage award, we still disagree with the ruling on the liability verdict, as the trial was marred with significant and reversible errors. Again, unquote, that is it from a Bayer spokesperson who's the new parent company, which most of us know Bayer for the pharmaceutical division of the company. That's what they're overwhelmingly known for on the streets, or more accurately, the pharmaceutical companies, or your doctor, which, yeah. Now, Bayer also called for the U.S. legislation reform to protect companies whose products comply with federal labeling requirements. McKibben's attorneys, Tom Klein and Jason Itkin, said they were pleased that Shulman upheld the jury's finding that Roundup case causes cancer, but they also intend to appeal, speaking in a reinstatement of the $2.25 billion jury verdict, which, yeah, I mean, my dad used to love using the word excessive. And again, it is heartbreaking that someone got cancer, and I very much hope that medical technology continues to advance and treatments get better and better, and someday is curable, as some diseases and cancers have. But 2.25 billion? Yeah, but do a quick Brave search. What is their revenue? Bayer, just pull this up really quick here. Revenue. And then, so, geez Louise. Oh, it's in Monopoly money. Oh, granted, it's a German company, so okay, it's in euros. But last year, their revenue again came in at 47.6 billion euros. Now let's see what the profit is. Profit. Trying to get the yearly profit for that company. Fourth quarter. Fourth is 2 point. Wow, that's not. Bayer.com. Bayer doing its performance. Net income at a minus 2.241 billion euros. Here. That is the acquisition. Let me see here. One more search. We'll do Q1 2024. This is from Reuters. What's the profit? Adjusted slip to 4.76 billion. Okay, so that's quarterly earnings. Oh, okay. So, all right. So EBITDA was 4.76 billion, which again, that's their revenue before interest, taxes, depreciation, amortization, all this fun terms. So I'm not sure if this is necessarily enough to actually bankrupt the company, but again, they also say that Bayer's prevailed in 14 of the last 20 Roundup trials, but it also racked up a string of losses in 2023 and early 2024, resulting in more than 4 billion in verdicts. They also say that about 165,000 claims have been made by U.S. against the company for personal injuries, uh, allegedly caused by Roundup, which Bayer acquired as part of a $63 billion purchase of U.S. agricultural chemical Monsanto in 2018. It'll be interesting to see if they ever actually make a profit off of that. Granted, I'm sure they'll say it's a long-term investment, but yeah, it'll be interesting to see if this is the amount is continuing to chisel down, how much they can actually take on before actually, just going up, disappearing from the face of the earth. And it is one of the most emotionally controversial things is how do you assign a dollar value to someone's life? Which, I mean, if you're a lawyer, you just go look at the person's, how much they were making, string that out to 65 years or the average number of years that they had working left in their life. Then you add some percentage for emotional. If you're a lawyer, I'm sure, or insurance company, you could absolutely quantify that to the penny. But let me know in the comments. Do you think 2.25 billion, which is again for one individual, would way out there? I think that would make more sense if it was a class action and that money, again, that actually was for every single person here. And I apologize, maybe that is the case. This is a new one for me because again, it's 400 million for the man, then the other was for punitive damages. Let me know in the comments. As always, I'd be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Other interesting business news, you have Trader Joe's $4 tote bag selling for 40 plus more on electronicbay.com, which brilliant marketing by Trader Joe's, famous California-based highfalutin hipster grocery store, which I'm actually not to be pejorative, that's how they self-describe it. And if you look at their finances and their marketing, that's who they see as their target demographic. And it makes sense. It's kind of like going to the zoo or the jungle. Every 10 years I'll go there because poke my head inside and be like, what's going on here? Interesting. $25 for a box of granola cereal? That's not for me. But nevertheless, a lot of people appreciated it. It's a premium shopping experience. Probably, I was going to say, pretty good wine selection. Well, I don't drink wine, but they have it. And people have been starting to collect their tote bags like they're going out of style. They are spending more money on those tote bags than filling up their car gas tank. Now, this is brought to us thanks to San Francisco Gate, which, fascinatingly enough, there are still companies still headquartered and operating in San Francisco. Less and less every day, but nevertheless, they are still some that exist. Now, you see a little iconic Trader Joe's entrance where they got their Jubilee of Flowers. Now, they say that, quote, Trader Joe's latest viral product is $3.99 plus tax, is now getting resold for over $100, which they happen a couple times on eBay or electronicbay.com, as most people call it, or as I call it. But we'll look at a couple of those listings and see how much are they really selling for on average. Now, they say that, quote, available across the country for limited, unspecified time, which, again, that's good marketing. You gotta create this scarcity so people think it can't get it again, which, again, it's an insulated bag, most likely manufactured in China, which the only limit is how much they could sell. Like, there's really very, very few things in life that are truly limited, especially when it comes to products. One of the biggest jokes being like the Toyota trim line, where they actually have like the limited models, which I think just has more, it has leather and other knickknacks, but it literally is just limited by how many they can sell. So never buy these things as a collectible. Although I say that, and yet some people are making 10x their investment on this little tote bag. I'd love to meet who the hell is buying these, but nevertheless, they say, quote, available for across the country for limited, unspecified time, the teal and magenta totes, again, that's fancy Trader Joe's talk right there, were released June 4th and are already cropping up on secondary economy for as much as 25 times their original value. The totes cost $3.99. Some electronicbay.com vendors are poaching the 1.5 gallon bags and reselling them for $99 each. These insulated totes are an offshoot of the canvas version that debuted in March, causing similar buying frenzy. Here, you actually go down and you can see some of that. Oh yeah, they got just a whole bin of those totes. Do they not have a close up? Here, or did I miss it? There we go. There's a close up of them. Yeah, and that would be interesting to see what kind of volume they're purchasing that at in order to get the price point down to the point where they're actually making a profit off of these things. Because the rule of retail on average is about 50% profit. I say, not at the end of the day profit, but before you pay your employees and your overhead. So usually you have to have about 50%. So if they buy this, they have to have this cost them $2, so they can sell it for $4. And that way they can still make a profit at the end of the day. Not a lot, but they'll make a little bit of profit after they pay for things like air conditioning, employee salary, or hourly wages, internet, heating, cooling, all other things that go into operating a retail establishment. And Again, I mean, in this case, you got the blue. Again, they're using fancy terms. It's blue and purplish pink, whatever. And kind of reminiscent of the 80s, so to say, the retro look, or at least retro colors to me. And let's go look at electronbay.com to see what people are buying this for. Now, again, I just ordered this. I did a price search, highest first. So these are what's able for sale. You got a bag of four, or I was gonna say a lot of four bags for $135.99 or best offer. Then quickly drops down to $88 for the 4-pack or best offer. $16.05 for shipping. Really? Like 10x profit margins, and you still want someone to pay for shipping? Come on. Really? Nevertheless. There's someone trying to get $100 for it. Appropriately, her name, the person trying to sell this, her name is Crazy Girl. Is it 12353? 100% ratings from Crazy Girl, or people who bought from Crazy Girl, apparently. Yeah, so she's trying to get $100 for that bag. And again, if she's getting that price point, I would, I almost admire, I do admire her. That's brilliant. She's smart. Bought it for $4, it's selling it for $100. That's phenomenal. Now, I'm not sure why. Yeah, it'd be interesting is to Trader Joe's just has like, yeah, why don't they actually just have a Trader Joe's eBay? Maybe people get irate that they're actually making all the money. Scroll down more and more. You got $100. Oh, here we go. $100 for 2-pack. The value is already showing, folks. Someone wants to, or best offer, free shipping. There we go. Finally. Again, I blame Amazon for just completely shifting the perception of everyone willing to pay for shipping. They're not, because they don't want to pay for shipping. Spoiler alert, it still costs something. Amazon could just bury that cost, and given their volume and the fact that they own their infrastructure, they could absorb that cost better than others. Let's see, $89 or best offer, $7 shipping. A lot of people are selling these in pairs. Let's see how low it goes. It gets down to around $40. What is this? Yeah, 40, 40, 40, 40, 45, or best offer, $10 shipping. Now, let's go to the ones that were sold and see where these really sell for. Because again, eBay, you can ask whatever you want. There's someone asking $250,000 for a hockey game on Nintendo 64. And just, yeah, I'm a little bit of a, like N64. I was going to say, obviously, camera zoom isn't expanded where you can see the shelf of video game stuff. But nevertheless, sometimes I look at the stuff, and the weirdest thing that I would ever do is, they got sealed collecting. And yeah, the most expensive, for a while, the most expensive thing on eBay is a factory sealed NFL or NHL video game cartridge from probably 2000-ish era or 99. Again, no one wants the hockey games don't sell, sports games usually don't sell. But nevertheless, they're asking it because you can ask whatever you want on eBay. Now, back to the point, going to the left side of the banner, trying to find, let's see, where's the sold section here? Item weight, available inventory, buying, buy it now, accepted, auction, item, delivery, show only, sold. There we go. Sold, completed. No. Maybe? Audacity. They even charge shipping, apparently? Now, thanks to the comments, and again, I appreciate everyone taking the time to comment on the videos, how I make the show better and better, and I appreciate the feedback. Thanks to the comment that covering the Pink Stanley Cup fascination where women went to Target and paid, $40, $50 for a thermos, which, great marketing. People bought those things in droves. They're actually selling them for 40, 50, 60, $200 on eBay, or electronbay.com as I call it. And some of the comments let me know that, well, depending on how this is phrased here in terms of selling, it could just, like, here, this is sold for $135.99 or best offer. It doesn't mean it sold for $135.99. That's just what the person was listing it at, and then they negotiate on the back end. Which, again, my suspicion is that eBay does this to artificially increase the value of these used items, or any items really, because to average user, they might not realize, they see that price point, they see the big green, $135.99, and they think, well, that's probably what they pay for it. No, it's $135.99 or best offer. Here's a buy it now. I believe this does mean that someone did buy it now for $109. This one $85, but it's our best offer. And $25 shipping? Really? These things weigh nothing. It's like a little foam insulation and a little canvas from China. Nevertheless, let's see. You have, here's free shipping, $100, $110. Buy it now for the 4-pack of those little coolers. $100 or best offer. So again, not sure what the exact about. Or best offer, brand new or best offer. Best offer accepted. 80, 90, 80, 80. See you can find it for a couple more confirmed. There's a buy it now. So they paid apparently $50 plus $10.23 plus, of course, the tax. Man, you got to pay for taxes on that. And it's fascinating how many people I mean, the power of culture and the power of good marketing and business is fascinating. People are buying these things in droves, which, I mean, they always, in terms of marketing, Trader Joe's is already probably one of the best retail establishments. One of the best ones that I can remember just growing up was the paper bags, which, I mean, for my family is pretty rare. I'm very privileged to say we never went hungry, but we didn't go to Trader Joe's all the time. It was like a special thing if relatives came into town to visit. And, as opposed to the local grocery store with the plastic bags, going to Trader Joe's to get the sturdy, not cardstock, but the sturdy paper bags with all the beautiful, they actually print, it's basically artwork on the back and some of it. That was always, pinky high, fancy, top drawer for me over there. So I was always fascinated. But yeah, to me, would I ever pay? Well, granted, I would never pay more than 18. No, actually, I would not pay anything for these because, yeah, I would never do that. But is this something where do you know anyone who has a fascination with these bags? Is it something where you would you ever want one? Are you would you actually proudly say, or you admit that you actually are paying more than the $3.99 for these bags? What do you use them for? Is it like a collectible, like Pokemon cards? I'm kidding. I know it's pronounced Pokemon, but nevertheless, let me know in the comments. As always, I'd be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Now, going over to the culture part of the podcast, you have 11, now 9 NFL teams ditching Pride Month statements, with more and more dropping like flies. This is perhaps one of the most fascinating things culturally because, again, for decades, most of them acquiesced to this messaging because, again, from a cultural marketing and sales perspective, they believe that the greatest amount of audience they can get is audience members that agree with the LGBTQ marketing nomenclature and cultural perspectives that it has. Now, this was first brought to us thanks to X Twitter, and they said, quote, again, this is a fluid situation, but moderately intended, and they say, quote, in June 2024, 11 NFL teams, including the Pittsburgh Steelers, Cleveland Browns, Cincinnati Bengals, Tennessee Titans, Kansas City Chiefs, Denver Broncos, Dallas Cowboys, Green Bay Packers, New Orleans Saints, Atlanta Falcons, and Detroit Lions chose not to acknowledge Pride Month through social media or public statements. This decision sparked a viral reaction, or various reactions from social media, with some users applauding the teams for focusing on sports rather than politics, while others critiqued them as a form of bigotry and called for boycotts of these teams, unquote. Now, again, this is changing pretty quick. They started off with 11, it's already down to 9. So again, this is also first reported as thanks to End Wokeness, and he said, quote, the tide is turning. 11 NFL teams did not issue a Pride Month statement. And I'll never forget, what was it, 3 or 4 years ago, the NFL official logo, they actually did have a whole marketing campaign that said that NFL is gay, which I'm not sure how much that increased their sales. Granted, it's also a sports balls instance where you have men, dressed up, jumping all over each other. Partially kidding, but it's one of those things where they were pretty much all in, and now this is the first time I can remember we actually see some teams moving away from a specific cultural topic. And again, here's an instance where you have the NFL Pride logos, and I think this is from perhaps a couple of years ago. You have the NFL logo. That's the Pride Trans logo. Yes, because it has the extra colors on it. Yes. And then it has all the teams' logos. And then again, like many corporations in America, they changed the logo for the month of June from the standard, whatever their color is, or the logo colors, then they change it to a rainbow. With most, this year, it seems like many of them that are making the change, seems like fewer than before, they're using an instance where it also is the trans pride logo, or color palette. That's the word I was looking for. Now, it went pretty viral. It's got 2.7 million views and 36,000 likes. And one of the first comments comes from Paul Zazupa saying, quote, it's ridiculous that any team still supports Pride, but at least things are changing for the better, and some teams are wising up in order to help unite the country. The NFL needs to stick to football and stay out of politics, especially when it's divisive as Pride, unquote, getting 114 likes. Going down more and more, you have the Libertarian Thinker, and it's a picture of Mr. Krabs from the SpongeBob thing, and he's with a reporter, and he says, and the reporter's asking, what inspired you to change your logo to the rainbow flag? And Mr. Krabs says, money. They got 89 likes, which, again, I think is one of the reasons why you also have people that are part of the LGBTQ community who don't appreciate or actually critique companies and businesses for doing a whole marketing campaign in June, but they don't see it as authentic because they don't stick with a theme full year with a myriad of initiatives, such as including hiring practices, reach out to that. I'm not sure if it's a demographic or whatever nomenclature it is, but so there's actually controversy on many sides of this cultural issue or phenomenon, whatever you prefer to call it. You also have Clown World saying this is great, getting 979 likes. You have Gunther Eagleman saying kudos to those 11 teams, getting 1.6 thousand likes. Quite a few. Liberty Pill Memes has a kid looking at a rainbow, and the kid asks the mom, I was going to say, well, cover your ears if you have children listening. Again, I try to make this moderately family friendly. And the kid looks at the rainbow. He says, Mom, what's the anal sex flag doing in the sky? Getting 412 likes. Scrolling down more and more. You have the Inquirer saying, in Maine, we are pushing back against this woke drag queens. And as a drag queen the size of, what was that famous actress? Queen Latifah? Yeah, probably. And yeah, dressed in drag with children. Of course, they're dancing. And they have about 12 pounds of makeup on their face. Granted, I'm sure someone in the comments will say I could probably use a little bit of makeup myself, but nevertheless, that did get 35 likes. Scrolling down more and more. Let's see. Liberty NH says true, and it's the the capital, and it's what was it, Pride colors, and it says, oh my god, the Christians are going to take over the government and impose religion on everyone. That got 981 likes, which, yeah. See here? General Crap Media TM says, it looks like another year of me not watching the woke Chicago Bears, unquote, getting 200 likes, which you're not missing much. I grew up in the Midwest. The biggest joke on the planet is the Chicago Bears. Their football skills are almost as inept as my speaking skills. If you tuned into the show before, you know my speaking skills are far from perfect, including things like stuttering, speaking too fast. But thanks to the comments, I have slowly but surely, I would argue, gotten better. And the big joke of Chicago, I say, oh yeah, they'll be good next year. Like the city of Chicago. They'll be good next year. While they have the same football team, they vote the same way, and have the same policies for businesses and culture and all that stuff. But they'll be good next year. That's a joke, because no, statistically speaking, they will not. Last time the Bears won the Super Bowl, I think they stored the photos on a floppy disk, which if you're a youth tuning in, that is a logo that you actually, or a little icon that you save your document. That is a picture of a floppy disk. How you used to save data. But I partially digress. Liberty Field Meme says the tide is slowly turning. It's a picture of End Wokeness talking about Xbox, how Xbox had changed their logo to Trans Pride last year, but this year they did not. Now, that being said, Microsoft, which again owns Xbox as well as Halo, now Halo, they did change their logo, they did a campaign this year where they had the armor for Master Chief, which basically the suit for, an armored suit, not a proper suit, but nevertheless, they changed the suit to Pride, and they got roasted pretty viscerally on social media this year. So one part of Microsoft did not change. Granted, if you look at the company's main marketing and how they do stuff, I'm sure as a whole, they're still in support of this. Let's see here. Scrolling down more and more. Poponomics says the 11 NFL teams is some boys and they're playing football with Jesus. And 1,000 likes, which I don't want to say is a lost marketing opportunity, but Jesus is standing in front of the cross. Granted, perhaps it would be blasphemous, but it would have been better if you had like two crosses that somewhat mimic the goalpost. But nevertheless, I did get 1,000 likes. We have, let's see here. So instead of Mr. Krabs, it's a different nomenclature, different verbiage. He says, Mr. Krabs, what inspired you to change your corporation's logo to a rainbow flag? And Mr. Krabs responds saying, Satan, getting 1,000 likes. Let's see. Let's see if there's any contrarian statements. There's got to be some. I follow as many people as I can left and right just to get some more, get some different perspectives. And echo chambers get boring pretty quick. Let's see here. Yeah, I'm not seeing too many contrarian statements. I mean, that being said, there are millions of Americans who are pissed. They are irate that the teams did not put out any official, quote-unquote, official statement, change the logo, and put up all the flags. And as I said at the beginning of the segment, 11 teams started with this, 3 have acquiesced. Now, I know public schools don't teach much math these days, but nevertheless, that is 3 less. Because again, it went from 11 to 9. 9, 10, 9, all the way 10, 11. I digress. 2. And mathematics skills of the public school education system has failed even me. But, puns aside, I think probably have 3 to 4 more that acquiesce to it. And I say that because, again, this is starting a boycott. Well, as this is becoming a cultural and political issue, and these teams want to, in theory, they want to maximize their profits. And I think more and more people in the United States just want to watch sports balls without hearing politics. I mean, ESPN shot themselves in the foot years ago. They started bringing out things about talking about how guns are bad, which again, you throw balls in hoops and people clap sometimes. Not very often if you're Chicago Bulls, but nevertheless, or sorry, the Bears, either or. But so this is where some people just want to tune out. They won't. And again, it's not. Maybe some people aren't even against this. They just don't want to have it shoved in their face. So I think we're going to see more, especially this year. Businesses are going to be, I believe, more conservative. I mean, fiscally as well as culturally, as well as being as should say they're trying to trying to weigh the risk mitigation. They don't want to take these risks that could cause them to lose more sales. When again, this is one of the most difficult years for most businesses. We have unprecedented economic and political uncertainty. You have high inflation. People are pulling back on a lot of their non-discretionary spending, and no one needs to watch a sports balls game. No one needs to buy an extra jersey or where they sell these things, an extra beer or whatever they sell at sports balls games. It's a purely luxury entertainment experience. You don't need it. So I think, and especially in those instances, you're going to have less and less businesses leaning into these types of, these types of pride events. What? Interesting. Apologies. There's a little technical difficulty again. Huh. Interesting. Well, apologize for that. So I think more and more businesses are going to start to pull back from that, and I can't help but suspect, in terms of marketing initiatives and what they support, well, I think more often than not they're going to start to pull back. But let me know in the comments. Do you think the backlash could be so great that all these teams kind of go back to the status quo, which again for decades at the NFL, that was doing these types of pride events, and again that does increase some of their sales among certain demographics. I just debate, is that the way to maximize your sales? Is that going to get them the maximum revenue at the end of the day? What are your thoughts? Let me know in the comments. As always, I'd be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Other interesting cultural news, you have United Methodist churches losing 1 million members over their LGBTQ policy. This is brought to us first thanks to Blaze Media, in which, here. Little pop-ups, always fun. They say, quote, United Methodist Church loses more than 1 million members in a single day when a group stands for God and His Word. This is written to us thanks to Chris and Lowe. And they say, quote, in one swoop last week, the United Methodist Church lost more than 1 million members. Weeks after the United Methodist Church voted to allow LGBT practicing clergy and reverse prohibitions on same-sex marriage. The United Methodist Church of Ivory Coast voted on May 28 to leave UMC. They say, quote, this is not an emotional issue, but rather a matter of unchangeable truth. Homosexuality is clearly a sin. The West African Methodists made the decision to leave the UMC for reasons of conscience before God and His Word, the supreme authority in matters of faith and life. The decisions of the UMC to embrace LGBT culture and same-sex marriages deviates from Holy Scriptures, according to EMUCI. The UMC Church is therefore, quote, sacrificing its honor and integrity to honor the LGBTQ community. In a statement, Bishop Benjamin Bonnie said, the UMC is, quote, is now based on socio-cultural and contextual values, which have consumed its doctrinal and disciplinary integrity. This is a significant development because it means that UMC is losing more than 1 million members. Even more important is the fact that Methodism of the conservative traditional variety is growing on the Ivory Coast. The UMC in the U.S., on the other hand, has seen years of decline, especially as a denomination began embracing liberalism. Now they say that, going down more and more, apologies. They also say that the Korean Methodist Church, which boasts approximately 1.5 million members, could soon be on the way out as well. So we see more and more churches. It's become extremely popular in the religious community to adopt the LGBTQ initiatives and accept that sort of behavior, those choices. And again, most people have never read the Bible, including a lot of people that go to church. But if you do actually, brush up on the pages, it is against God. So a lot of those religious institutions, many of them kept going into the LGBT because, again, a lot of them are very much worried about their membership declining radically. Overall, the church membership is declining and dropping like a bad stock. It's less and less. So the churches are wondering, how can we get more members? And a lot of these churches thought a possible way to fix this membership issue is to increase the sample size, try to get more prospective, I was about to say clients, thinking in business terms, but they're trying to get more patrons, trying to get more people to their herd. I forget the sheep or the herd metaphor, but nevertheless, they're trying to get, or their flock, nevertheless. But so a lot of them, and again, there's also cultural, political pressures on them. So a lot of the churches started to accept those into the church. And again, most churches are very accepting of everyone's choices, their life, but a lot of people draw the line at, what is marriage? Which, again, if you wind back the clock a couple years, Barack Obama, even Biden, they were firmly against gay marriage. Like very recently, they, coincidentally changed their policy or their stance to one that's much more popular these days in the United States. But a lot of the, true people who are hardcore religious folks and people who read the text and more traditional, they're saying they don't agree with that. It's, again, I'd say it's in the book. It literally says they can't do that. So one might say, why don't they invent a new religion for the other folks? But nevertheless, they thought, this might be a good way to increase our sample size. But very similar to other businesses where they think, well, like Bud Light, well, we're not getting a lot of traction. We're losing sales from conservative folks. What if we try to expand the customers to get the trans folks community? Now, they shot themselves in the foot terribly at Bud Light. They spent $185,000 hired Dylan Mulvaney for a couple of photos and like an endorsement video, and they lost subsequently $1.4 billion in sales, which is the greatest negative ROI in history, bar none, now that I think about it. But again, they tried to increase their audience. In that case, they tried to increase their sample size, prospective buyers, and it backfired terribly, and it fell flat on its face. Now, in this case, I think a lot of churches are starting to see the very, very similar trends, because again, the more traditional folks of these churches, they're starting to see this in their places of worship, and they don't agree with it philosophically, religiously, so they just stop going. So while the overall numbers in some areas and instances is increasing in church on average, I wonder if this will be good for the church long term, or would it just dilute, or as a business might say, dilute the brand? Are they trying to grow too quick by accepting this? And again, this policy's against what a lot of people would argue is against what they stand for. Do you think this is, again, it's a huge cultural topic. Do you think this is a good thing for the churches? Could this be the way they turn around their declining memberships? Or could it be the finally in the coffin? How might this affect them in the future? I mean, we have this is a perfect use case where they quite literally lost 1 million folks. Could this be a ripple effect that causes more churches to actually push back? Because again, this has been happening for decades with more and more churches. It's not just the UMC. But as always, let me know in the comments. I'd be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Other interesting cultural news, you have Elon X, the only platform not giving into censorship and going viral. Now this comes to us obviously thanks to Elon over on X, or as fewer and fewer people are calling it on Twitter, but let me know what you call it. I'd be interested in that. Now, he was actually responding to Doge designers saying, quote, the Australian e-safety commissioner revealed that other social media platforms, including Meta, Microsoft, Google, Snapchat, TikTok, Reddit, and Telegram, complied with their request and removal notices. Only X took a stand against censorship. And Elon says, quote, freedom of speech is worth fighting for. And within hours, they got 21.6 million views, 150,000 likes, which is quite a few to say the least. One of the popular responses coming from Gunther Eagleman saying, quote, always thank you for your fight. Getting 182 likes. Yeah, Beach Barbecue saying, cheers, Elon. And his picture of Elon sitting down, it says, they don't ban hate speech, they ban speech they hate. Unquote. Which, yes, that is very accurate. That got 1.8 thousand likes. Scrolling down more and more. You have Trump Army saying they want to take away your freedom of speech and punish you for your thoughts and political beliefs. And granted, I was going to say his voice is infinitely better than mine. We'll let him do this little clip here.
Remember, I'm in the way. Without me, there's nobody in the way. As these sick people have come after me, they're also coming after you. They want to take away your freedom of speech and punish you and your thoughts and political beliefs. They want to flood our country with millions and millions of migrants, which they're doing, redistribute your money to illegal aliens, and then give them the right to vote. That's what they really want. With all these people pouring in, they want to get them the right to vote.
And that, interesting enough, that is happening. They got 1.2 thousand likes. Let's see here. Contrarian statement, finally. Joel Davis says, then why haven't you restored Blair Cotelaire 89, Australia's most well-known nationalist commenter? Honor your principles, like getting 1.3 thousand likes. Let's see. Going down more and more. You have Bao Loudon saying, thank you for turning X into amazing free speech. Elon, God bless you. You should endorse President Trump. Next, getting 547 likes. Oh, this is the best, one of the best use cases where someone attempts to trick Elon, but he basically turns the tables. Tara Bull says, you can't put a price on free speech. I have Elon's famous interview. I'm pretty sure this guy was the BBC.
Someone comes in and offers you $44 billion for Twitter right now. Would you take it?
No.
Literally doesn't care the company is losing millions upon millions of dollars. He's cut a lot of costs, but it's still not profitable. That's how much he believes in free speech. That got 907 likes. Now they're going to reference the point of the interview in which they talk about censorship, and the BBC guy, basically showed the mask falls down, where Elon says, well, wait a minute, you said this is disinformation. Your company, your broadcasting company said the same thing, and yet you weren't censored. Now it's going down more and more. Yeah, we'll have the Elon Musk Trump town hall coming up. That's got 156 likes. Master TDS says, what about the major bot issue on the platform? I've been doing my best to help out, but I'm only one person. He had 141 likes, which I don't know what. Be interesting to hear what the person actually is trying to do. And yeah, there are a lot of bots account, but notice I'll get 10 to 20 to 30 beautiful women to follow me on X Twitter. And yeah, let's just say I know the cards I've dealt in life. They're not real. I looked at the profiles and they're all created within the last couple of days. And they have no followers. So yeah, there's been an increase on the bots on the platform. Senator Babbitt says, thank you, Elon. The Australian government and their bureaucrats are out of control, getting 430 likes. Tom Fitton says the attack on Elon Musk and free speech is transnational priority for the left, getting 633 likes. Sean McGuire says democracy crumbles without it, getting 661 likes. Gad Sad says it is everything, getting 937 likes. Here. Is this any more country? Pretty much overwhelming positive here. This is Elon's speech. See what this is.
CEO of Tesla, Mr. Elon Musk.
Working with the troops, he's reading them. Whereas this person does this famous quote from Elon, where Elon says, quote, 44 billion was not the cost of Twitter, it's the cost of restoring free speech. And this got 96 likes. Patriot 911 says this is how George Soros is feeling right now. Says, is it Palpatine, I think, from Star Wars? Says everything is proceeding as I have foreseen it, getting 25 likes. Here's another contrarian statement. The FJC says, agreed, here's a suggestion. So Elon, why don't you lighten up on throttling and shadow banning of conservative accounts so we experience the freedom of speech on here as well? Getting 37 likes, which I'm not sure how much that is these days. It certainly was back in the day. I think you could tell because statistically speaking, as soon as the news of Elon buying the company broke, a lot of conservative commentators, a lot of conservative personalities on X Twitter, their follower counts skyrocketed shortly after that. And again, it's one of those things where, not to be a jerk, but it might just be they're not saying interesting things. And again, going viral, as you might say, is not an easy thing. You gotta be at the right place, the right time, say something interesting, unique. I mean, it isn't always censorship. So of all the instances where I suspect censorship, X is the platform where I have the least amount of suspicion. See any more contrarian or other interesting statements here? See. I've got one more. Casey Lane says there's no true freedom of speech when your ID verified company is owned by a foreign country that are threatened to harm us for speaking up about them. Getting 49 likes. What? I'm not sure. Speaking out against a verification company? I'm not sure about that. But looks like pretty much overwhelming positive support. And again, I think more and more people are starting to wake up the fact that all these large government entities are asking everyone or every major social media platform to actually censor them. And I mean, Elon basically is the only one not doing it. That's the biggest value add of X. It's one of the few reasons I actually pay for the dang thing. It's the only social media I pay for. And it's purely because it has freedom of speech at the core value of the company. Might not agree with everything they have on the platform. I'm not sure how much good they'll be to actually have or authorized on X Twitter. I'm not sure it's going to increase user experience or make them more money, but at the end of the day, I appreciate that they're a freedom of speech first type of company. But let me know in the comments. Do you think, eventually will Elon cave? Do you think eventually maybe someone will hack into Twitter or X and start, censoring people left and right? Let me know in the comments. As always, it'd be fascinating to hear what you have to say. Now, going over to the political part of the podcast, you have Trump border policy post going viral on X Twitter. This comes to us first thanks to End Wokeness. And he quite literally says, quote, Trump just posted this brutal reality check. About a minute 30 long. And granted, their voices are infinitely better than mine, so without too much further ado.
We have rescinded so many Trump immigration policies, it would take so much time to list them.
There have been more than 1 million migrant encounters since October 1st, when our fiscal year began. It is the earliest this milestone has ever been reached.
It's a mess that this administration created from day one.
Smugglers and cartels exploiting chaos at the border.
Agents are being removed from the line. They're having to process. They're having to do all the administrative work. And who is it that's, flourishing from this? It's the drug cartels.
Cartel gunmen stroll along the riverbank, armed with rifles. It's here where cartel gunmen have repeatedly been seen wandering through the brush after crossing into the U.S. illegally.
And it's not going to stop because this administration doesn't want it to stop.
This administration just does not care about the American people. They've shown that time and time again.
That is the U.S. side of the Rio Grande.
58 terrorists have...
If you're just tuning in or just listening, can't see it. Yeah, there's 300 plus people literally neck and neck, all are just going in the river.
U.S. side of the Rio Grande.
58 terrorists have crossed the southern border.
The entire world is showing up here at our doorstep. They're crossing illegally, and they are expecting to get released here into the United States.
We are in the biggest crisis, border security crisis, that we've ever faced in the history of this country. Nobody has done worse on border security than President Biden in all aspects of border security.
Now, to be fair, remember, he put this right on the desk of Kamala Harris. She said she was going to be on it. She's going to fix it. That was one of her initiatives or assignments from Biden. He said she was going to fix the border. Yeah, she's too busy cackling maniacally.
He is clearly failing. He has no answers.
This is insane. The federal government has to wake up.
I know that 1,000 overwhelms the system. I cannot begin to imagine what 4,000 a day looks like.
Pretty good commercial considering I think this is going to be one of the top political issues when it comes to the 2024 election. Now, went pretty viral. Within a couple hours, got 500,000 views, 17,000 likes. Paul Zupa saying, quote, Joe Biden has failed miserably at the border. Everyone can see that. The problem is Republicans in Congress keep funding Biden, even though he's let 10 million illegals in. They should be trying Biden for treason, unquote. Getting 74 likes. And yeah, it's also one of those issues with these big omnibus packages where they're saying, well, we'll give funding to one thing, but we're also going to give funding to 5 or 6 other things. Which means if you say no, you'll be dragged through the coals, politically speaking, because they'll be saying, oh yeah, they don't care about this. But we want to vote for this package, even though it had 4 other things that you didn't want, or you would argue the antithesis to what you believe in. They got 74 likes. Now, Gunther Eagleman says, time to wake up, getting 88 likes. Rich Mooney says, we need physical borders, barriers, surveillance, harsh penalties for entering illegally and hiring illegals, more immigration detention centers, and end to birthright citizenship, reinstating state of Mexico policy, and deportation of illegals. Who wants to come here? Come legally. Getting 9 likes. Let's see, what's this one? Says, this is from Sandy. Says, share this as much as possible. So it must be good. At least entertain it for a second or two.
Good morning. I'm Rosemary Jenks with the Immigration Accountability Project. As Senator Lee said, we estimate that there are upwards of 30 million non-citizens, so foreign-born who have not naturalized and are therefore ineligible to vote under our laws. The problem that we have now is that the Biden administration, there's a Biden executive order that orders all federal agencies to provide voter registration information to everyone they come in contact with. We also know that state election officials are not permitted to ask for proof of citizenship for applicants who fill out the federal form. So if you're a non-citizen in this country, whether you're an asylum seeker or a foreign student or whatever, if a government official hands you a voter registration form you're going to think that you need to fill it out. Then you are going to be unlawfully registered to vote. If you vote, it is a deportable criminal offense. So I want to just do a little public service announcement here and say, if you are not a citizen of the United States of America, you are ineligible to vote. And if you vote, you are committing a criminal deportable offense. We need to pass the SAVE Act and secure our elections. Thank you.
Yeah, she says that, but I'm not sure about that. I apologize. I have a couple more technical difficulties here today. Now, those instances where, yeah, if she's saying, oh yeah, if you, I don't know why they always resets, but oh yeah, say if you do this, then they might deport you. I mean, you're already breaking the law because they're very illegally. So I'm not sure if that's really going to be a deterrent. Now, going to do a couple more comments here. You have the Almighty saying Biden has always been against his own people and worked with the interest of others. And has a picture of the United States in red. It says, in case you haven't noticed by now, it says, you know, U.S. who Trump represents, and it says who Dems represent, and it's South America. They got, or Mexico, a couple of other countries. They got 29 likes. The Liberty Pill meme says nothing to see here. It says illegal immigrant encounters under Obama is 5 million. Trump was 4.7 million. Biden, it's 12.099 million. Got 29 likes. Here, scrolling down more and more. The Liberty Pill meme says the only way to save America is someone, gentleman, looks like he's in a suit, and he's kicking out someone in jeans and a long sleeve shirt. Says mass deportation of illegals and politicians, getting 31 likes. Marjorie Taylor Greene press release parody account says Donald Trump is right once again, getting 86 likes. So overwhelming positive support. And yeah, interesting enough, I mean, there are people from all over the globe. It's not just Mexico in terms of illegally crossing the United States. And of course, we have no idea who any of them are because not checking anything that could be, like they said in the commercial, a couple of them have been confirmed terrorists. Those are the ones we know about. So it will be interesting to see as this becomes more and more of an issue for the upcoming election. How many Americans does this resonate with? Is it going to be an instance where this really gets people off their keys to vote? Because again, we're far from 100% people who are registered to vote actually go out and vote. It's actually quite good. A little disappointing considering that's like one of the few benefits you get if you pay taxes these days. So definitely reason to go out and vote. It's your right, and many would argue it's your duty. And yeah, the border is one of the top issues this year. I mean, it's affecting a lot of industries. It's definitely not helping the job market. Let me know, do you think this truly will be the number, because again, at the end of the day, what's going to be the number one issue that really gets people to move left to right or right to left, whatever it is this going to be the most important subject or topic of the year? Let me know in the comments. As always, I'd be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Other interesting political news, you have Vivek on how Trump could possibly pardon himself, maybe? Now, appreciate to say, but this does come from Vivek's ex-Twitter profile, in which he says, quote, can Trump be pardoned by the president for the conviction in New York? Answer, yes. Here's why. The New York felony charges directly relied on claims that Trump violated federal law. New York prosecuted Trump based on the novel legal theory that he committed a misdemeanor, falsifying his business records, with the intent to commit another crime, including violations of federal election campaign finance law. That means if the alleged federal violation is expunged, the state felony conviction disappears along with it. Shocking how far the MSM has gone in the last 24 hours to hide this fact by expressly writing headlines that a pardon is impossible. Unquote. Getting 3.9 million views as well as 30,000 likes, which is one of the most viral things Vivek has said in 2024. One of the first comments, he says, oh, here we go. Wall Street Journal says, click to see the full argument here. Getting 4.1 thousand likes. Scrolling down more and more. Let's see. We have Kim. Is this a contrarian statement right off the bat? That'd be interesting. Kim is a producer and founder interested in art, design, fashion. Well, at least she has a courtesy. We do follow each other, so we do know of each other. So she has, what is it? Is that the do-rag? Nevertheless, Kim says, Speaker Johnson, exactly what attracted you to Donald Trump? Was it the violence against women, the criming, his love for Putin, or merely just his callous disregard for human life? Perhaps it was something off this list. unquote. Mentally vacuous? Yes. But let's see how many people liked it. 398 people did like it. Was she ratioed? Maybe. Nope. See here. Michael Steen was one of the most liked response to her. He says, I think it's Trump's support for the idea that fraud laws don't apply to rich people. Which, again, is a misdemeanor that should never been in the court, but nevertheless, she did get 399 likes. Because, again, this is going to be huge. I mean, not to be cliche, but I'll try my futile attempt to use Trump's vernacular, or more accurately, his actual tone. You say, this trial was huge! And I raised $200 million, the most any candidate ever. Probably, don't fact check me. But nevertheless, it is raising records amount of money. And just like the very infamous picture of Trump getting arrested with the mugshot, people on the left are taking the same instance and they're raising campaign funds as well. I don't think as much, but I'm still waiting to see some of the latest updates on statistics on how much Democrats have used this conviction in order to raise funds on their side of the political aisle. Now, yeah, Mark Mendelez saying Trump should never accept a pardon from Joe Biden or allow him to appear magnanimous when he is the one behind the prosecution and persecution. Nothing short of clearing his name is acceptable. I'm quoting 29 likes. 3-year Letterman says the president has the authority to pardon anyone in the world for any crime at any time, past, present, or future. Getting 1.4 thousand likes, which is pardon anyone in the world. I mean, maybe back in the day when the United States was, moral, upright, and was helping lead the world, both morally, culturally, and business, and pretty much every metric. Freedom, obviously. These days, the U.S. is kind of losing. They don't have much ground to stand on, which is heartbreaking. As more and more schools don't even have American flags in them. Patriotism is all the time low. And you see how much of the government resource allocation is directed towards, punishing and actually, taking away freedoms from law-abiding citizens. But nevertheless, I'm not sure if you can actually pardon someone halfway across the globe. Maybe as a courtesy, the other countries might listen. But nevertheless, Collins says, problem is that he was not charged with violating a federal campaign finance. He was charged for falsifying a business record to cover up a violation of New York statute regarding elections. He was not charged with violating a federal statute, which, again, as Vivek was saying, is kind of building upon each other. That did get 1.8 thousand likes, though. Is Vivek going to get ratioed? Let's find out. Josh Marshall says, you're coming up with a stupid idea that anyone with any knowledge knows is laughable BS does not, in fact, be true. Please go back to founding phony companies. I don't know why this sounds grammatically awkward, but nevertheless, that did get 2.2 thousand likes. And truth be told, Vivek has founded multiple successful companies, but nevertheless. Suburban Black Man says, you're forgetting the important facts here. 1, Biden is not the real president. 2, the Obama-Biden regime is who convicted Trump in the first place. That did get 1.8 thousand likes. Ooh, is this another contrarian statement? Josette Caruso says, but that would mean that Biden would be considered a good guy, and instead he relishes being called Dark Brandon. He's actually just too stupid to understand the ramifications of doing something that actually could benefit him, unquote. Which, actually, now that would be a crazy idea. What if, I'm not sure, maybe he had a Bud Light, but what if Biden were to actually pardon Trump? That would be interesting. Would it ever happen? No, I don't think he's cognitively able to do that. But if he did, if Biden really wants to unite the country, that would be a power move. Because again, a lot of people will never vote for Biden just because, again, a lot of people are locked into their political parties. So it doesn't matter who's on the ballot. They're just going to vote for whatever D or R is on the ballot. And I don't know, for people in the middle, I think the economy and the border are bigger factors that will actually lead to Trump probably winning the election if it's fair and equal. But if Biden were actually to pardon Trump, I would argue, again, Biden has said he wanted to unify the country. Hasn't really. But I think that would actually be a good thing for the country. I know a lot of people are saying it's a radical idea. It would never happen. Again, the propensity of this to happen is basically 0. Well, not 0, but 0.0000783. It's statistically not, technically not 0, but it's close. Percentage, obviously. But that would be an interesting thing. I mean, well, for what's left of Biden's brand or his legacy, I think that'd be actually a good way to end on a high note. Again, there are a lot of other negatives in his place. Obviously, we've seen the economy, we've lived life. But politically speaking, if he wanted to preserve his legacy, that is something he could do. He should say, Americans, we voted for this, half the country wants the opportunity to vote for this. This is America. We don't prosecute people based, we don't believe in political prisoners. Granted, I know Biden's campaign, a lot of people on his staff are also responsible for this, and you have people, moving from the federal government to this local state government, just like actually bringing up these charges. But I know it never happened. But morally, and I think that'd be astonishingly brilliant. Y'all just, again, if he thinks he's on his deathbed, or Biden, or if he thinks he's not gonna make it, that'd be a good way to preserve what little legacy you have. I know it's a crazy idea. Let me know what you thought about that specific idea in the comments. Again, I'm not sure, in terms of marketing, I'm not sure how popular Dark Brandon is. I see it more and more. That did get, again, her statement did get 180 likes. See here? Real Trump Take says, absolutely, let's cut to the chase. The recent conviction in New York is a farce, relying on a flimsy argument to prosecute Trump. If the alleged federal violations are expunged, the state convictions falls apart. The MSM's denial of this fact is a desperate attempt to hide the truth, getting 621 likes. Saga says President Trump does not need a pardon. The pardon is for the guilty. He is an innocent man. He did nothing wrong. Stuff it with people talking about pardons. What he needs is for the Supreme Court to do his job and overturn the whole sham trial and convictions. Getting 611 likes. Grammar be damned. Now, never rely on the Supreme Court to do the right thing because they've acquiesced from doing their job multiple times. I mean, I know there are some people Supreme Court I have the utmost respect for, but yeah, they also don't count on them to save the day. They do some great things, don't get me wrong, but also don't forget they have someone on the Supreme Court who cannot define what a woman is. And she is picked because of her gender and race. Yeah. Another low point for Brandon, or Biden. Let's see here. Kathy, who I'm going to say she's got to be, I mean, it's fascinating how you can see, yeah, so her emojis are Canadian flag, dictator. What's this? Pride flag, blue wave, mask emoji, sunflower, most useless of all the flowers, and a Canadian maple leaf. She describes herself as happy mama and Bipa, living with RA, breast cancer survivor, born in NL, she, her. Nevertheless, Kathy did say the president cannot pardon state convictions, period. Spin doctors are a big time, getting 628 likes. The ratio, though. Mark Brandon did say, okay, Karen getting 28 likes. So, not ratioed. Let's see. Gary, who's, what's this? The American? He doesn't have an American flag, but he has a pride flag. This a pride flag. Oh, I thought it was a soldier. It's a camo hat. Again, they don't have a monopoly on camouflage. Civilians can wear it as well. And describes himself, I'm a gay liberal Democrat. I believe democracy is worth saving. Do you, though? Followed by the best people on X, no DMs. Oh, can't even interact with him. He's followed by Art Candy, though. The girl we follow. Who, again, has an emoji of a popcorn and a water in a cup with a straw, which I don't know anyone who's actually consumed a beverage that way. Now, he says, quote, Vivek Ramaswamy dancing for Trump, but not the law. Trump can't be pardoned from a state conviction, period. I forget what that tote is from Looney Tunes. He got 140 likes. Let's see. First Wood says, good, a self-pardoned Trump would be much more satisfying than winning an appeal, especially when you measure the pleasure by the quantity of their tears. Getting 683 likes. Oscar Herrera says, Trump let to pardon himself. Biden would never pardon him, getting 430 likes. Now, that's a funny profile name. Her name is Mike Pence's other mother. And she says, nope, getting 130 likes. Let's see. Keith Olbermann. I thought I followed him. Do I not? He's very, when he's politically speaking, definitely the opposite of mine, but I'll follow him. Again, contrarian statements and echo chambers get boring. So Keith Olbermann says, quote, you're a moron. I got 1.9 thousand likes. So I was going to say, is this a 50-50 split or? That's a funny meme. It's Obama and Biden. Oh, spoiler alert. It's well, I was going to say, we know who's really calling the shots at the White House. But nevertheless, the picture is in fact of Obama with Trump. And he says, I'm weaponizing the IRS, DOJ, FBI, and CIA. And Trump says, I'm weaponizing the American people. In 559 likes. Let's see. One more. Danger Disinformation says, this is the only shot Joe Biden has to deliver on his unity promise, but he won't because it will cost him the Democrat votes. For me, I'm 100% anti-Democrat. And Biden tweeted a couple years back, said, I pledge to be the president who seeks not to divide, but to unify. Who doesn't see red, white, and blue states, but another United States? And who will work with all my heart to win the confidence of the whole people. Again, that's from November 2020. That got 37 likes, which, again, if he really wanted to do that, if he truly believes that, This would be the opportunity of a lifetime to do. Nevertheless, statistically speaking, again, don't think it's going to happen. So again, this is probably one of Vivek's most controversial posts all year, and one of the very few instances where it seemed, I mean, just rolling down the comments, a little bit over 50% negative or against Vivek. Granted, I know this is a very polarizing political topic for a lot of folks, so it's not too surprising that there are some, well, interesting contrarian statements. That's what makes life interesting. I think I get F- for using that word too much in this episode, but nevertheless, do you think at the end of the day, it's possible Trump to get pardoned by Biden? Do you think it would be a net benefit to the United States? Or could that cost him even what support that he does have? Let me know in the comments. As always, I'd be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Other interesting political news, you have Mark Hamill saying to Joe for Joe-Bi-Wan Kenobi, which, again, he hasn't had a good hit since Corvette Summer. That was Mark Hamill peak. I mean, not just a movie with Mark Hamill, but it had a Corvette in it. I mean that was good agreements for a good movie. His career has been downhill ever since. Famously, he was in Star Trek for many years. Kidding. I know he's in the Wars of Stars or something like that. Now, again, this comes to us actually thanks to the Democrats, which is a Twitter profile. They say we'll also be voting for Joe-Bi-Wan Kenobi. And thankfully, it's only about 5 seconds long. And granted, he didn't suit up. At least Mark is wearing a button-up shirt, so he did something right. Again, if you see someone, it's usually a modicum of redemption to most folks. I like to think. Or maybe I'm just a hopeless optimist. And I usually say his voice is infinitely better than mine. Debatable. So if you're just listening to this, you'll hear Mark, and he's, interesting enough, they're leaning into the meme, which, again, maybe it's good marketing. They have the picture of Joe Biden's head, but it has laser eyes, which the campaign staff is actually using for marketing, which is catchy and memorable. I'll give them that. And again, that's half of politics is who do you remember when you go to the booth? Now, this is a very contentious upcoming election, so I think everyone knows the names by now. I think that matters much more on a lower level in politics, but nevertheless, we'll go here. We'll hear Mark what he has to say.
Hey, I'm Mark Hamill, and I'm voting for Joe-Bi-Wan Kenobi. Hey,
What an F- for marketing. So he has this. Well, they did spend some money on this little standee, a giant picture of Joe Biden's head. I don't know who wants that, but that looks like it. Man, that's quality plastic. So it's the plastic that actually is reinforced. It's not floppy. This is higher level than Hobby Lobby stuff. Granted, I don't think the people who vote for him go to Hobby Lobby, but nevertheless, it's an instance where you have two pieces of plastic, and in between, very similar to high quality cardboard, you have like a little mini accordion. So they paid some top-notch quality for that. And it also is multicolored. Every color you do, from an imprinting perspective, is an additional cost. And of course, you would also argue a feature. And they should have done a retake. So they have a light pointed at Mark. Again, a lot of people would argue he's going to the dark side of the Force, or some like funny Star Wars pun. He's come to the dark side, whatever this calls for. Slytherin stuff. Kidding, kind of. But the light on Mark is such position that it actually goes and is caught by the Biden standee. So instead of seeing at the very beginning, he's holding it at a perfect angle where you can see the different colors, because it has a blue Joe Biden head with red laser eyes, and you can see it very well. So the camera person's doing somewhat of a good job here, and yet about halfway through it, Mark starts to tilt it, and it catches the light. So most of it is obscured. Then at the end, it gets even worse.
Kenobi. Hey, I'm Mark Hamill, and I'm voting for Joe-Bi-Wan Kenobi.
So at the very end, it's a good 30% of the picture of Biden where you can't see what it is. It's just the light. So again, and then again, it's probably been years since he did. Well, I'm trying to remember last time he did a good acting job. Actually, let me pull it up. What was the last time he had a good movie? Do a little extra entertainment education today. Let's see here. IMDb. What was his last hit? 1978. That's the last good movie with Mark Hamill. Again, that movie is Corvette Summer, directed by Matthew Robbins, with writers Hal Barwood and Matthew Robbins. And, spoiler alert, Mark Hamill was the star. Here's a really cool looking, well, obviously customized Corvette. And obviously it has to be about the summer. It'd be pretty disappointing it took place in the winter. Whole movie about it. So yeah, that's really when Mark Hamill peaked with his career, let's be honest. Well, I can't but think most people in the audience in the world are really just big fans of Corvette Summer. They just kind of pretend the recent stuff he did. It's like, yeah, we want to make Mark feel good, so we'll pretend we like this wizard stuff he does. But again, this is good marketing. I say it because people worship Star Wars. It's almost a religion for some people. They go all in. They write fiction about the fan, or more accurately, fan fiction, some might say. And people will do what celebrities say on a myriad of topics, when it's a brand endorsement for a camera or vodka, or in this case, a political figure. I mean, and again, Mark's not the only one. There are people on the right, as well as the left, who do this to try to get votes for politicians. I really debate why anyone. Some things. The only thing that makes sense in terms of a brand endorsement for a celebrity is if they're an actual someone they're actually proficient in the product or service that they're pitching. Like, if Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson was saying, "Hey," I mean, he famously owns a tequila brand, which I don't even think he drinks too much. Why would I ever buy that? Makes no sense. Now, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson selling steroids, that makes sense. He's the size of a gorilla and he's in his 50s. So if Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson said, "Hey, I'm using ABC steroid, put in your, shoot it into your ass and lift, and you can be like me." That's a product that would make sense. He clearly uses the product. He's proud about it, and he's an expert in that field. That might make sense, but in terms of politics, this does something for me, but will this change the mind of millions of Americans to vote for Biden? Again, people love Mark Hamill. They love Star Wars. Does that translate to the voting booth? Maybe a little bit. Let's see what the comments have to say. How about, what was it? 643,000 views and 5.2 thousand likes, which, again, this wasn't directly Mark Hamill's account. This is from the Democrats' account. That's why I suspect it's not millions, because usually Mark will get high, low millions to a couple millions, depending on what he's posting. Donut Operator simply says, "How cringe. It got ratioed," because, again, Mark got 5.2 thousand likes. Donut Operator said, "So cringe," getting 6.7 thousand likes. See, you have Gibby Turismo. It's a famous picture of the scene with not Luke. What's the good actor in the movie? Well, that one you can't forget. Let's be honest. It's Harrison Ford. So it has Harrison Ford and Leia says, "I love you," and Luke was always gay. And Harrison Ford says, "I know." I got 1.3 thousand likes. So not off to a rocky start. Let's just say the Womp Rats are winning. Or, in this case, maybe losing electoral-wise. But nevertheless, Randy Savage says, "Democrats' new strategy is to eliminate their opposition by making them all die cringe," getting 2.4 thousand likes. Davis Opinion says, "More like evil fascist Emperor Biden. Meet Matthew Caligo. He left by his DOJ from a third position from the top to step down and join Bragg's 3 months prior to the Trump indictment." I got 432 likes, and thanks to Urban Dictionary, I know the youth might say that is sus. I heaven forbid it takes for action a second to say suspicious, but nevertheless. Let's see. Lori Ann says, "Expect to pay more in the next 4 years," and says since Biden took office. And so Infographics says overall prices increased by 17.4%. Food prices increased by 20.3%. Rent by 18.6%. Electricity by 24.3%. Hashtag Bidenomics. Fortunately, they didn't give me a link to the statistics to verify, but nevertheless, they got 462 likes. Gonzalo says Mexicans discover a 1,000-year-old mummy, and says, looks like Biden got 732 likes now. Conservative news feed says Joe Biden uses the Force to bring kids closer so he can snip them, getting 607 likes. Andy said the guy just made Star Wars lame, getting 933 likes. But fact check, it's been lame for quite some time. Pretty much ever since Disney got their rat claws around it, I would argue. Chris with a K, unique name, says this is serious cringe, getting 689 likes. The Mandarin says giving someone red eyes only makes them look more evil, getting 406 likes. Reddit Live says there's still time to delete this bro, a little bro, getting 1.1 thousand likes. Meme Bastard says you guys really need to hire a meme guy, getting 112 likes. Michaela Rose says he looks demonic, getting 120 likes. Could this possibly be the fascinating statistic outlier of Chris Christie? A term I dubbed, the Chris Christie effect is something I dubbed on the show, where he found twice he had posts in which he had 0 positive responses, which is statistically impossible. Presumably Chris Christie, when he was running for a political office, Republican nominee, he has, family, friends, campaign staff, presumably. And there's 2 instances where he had 0 positive comments. Now, not to brag, but I was about to say, no, that does have to be on the YouTube. But nevertheless, statistically speaking, not all the time. There's usually no comments. But if you comment on this video, I'd greatly appreciate it. Or you like it or hate it, feedback is always appreciated, usually. Now, let's see. James Lindsay Full Varsity says this is Soviet propaganda, getting 718 likes. Let's see here. Let's see. B. Willie says, we know, Mark, we know. And it's a picture of Yoda saying peacefully, and it says leftists being asked to show their vax card to buy food. And angry Yoda is leftists being asked to show their ID card to vote. That got 118 likes, which... Oh, whoopsies. More technical difficulties? Oh. I don't know. We're going to have to seriously tear down the material, see what's going on here later today. Apologize for that. See what's going on here. Oh well. So yeah, will Mark really be able to convince people to go vote for Biden? Is that going to be a really compelling reason? Let me know in the comments. As always, I'd be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Now going over to the business blunder of the day, you have Toyota apologizing for cheating on a certification test. This comes to us thanks to 9 News, NBC affiliate. To say, quote, Toyota apologized for cheating on vehicle test and halts production of 3 models. Now the company said the wrongdoing does not affect the safety of the vehicle already on the roads, which include the Corolla, subcompact, and Lexus luxury vehicles. Yeah, Mr. actual Toyota, Akio Toyoda. Again, the family is called Toyoda, but the company's called Toyota. Now, this is brought to us by the name of Yuri Kamiyani, and this is from Tokyo. Say, Toyota chairman Akio Toyoda apologized for massive cheating on certification tests for 7 vehicle models as the automaker suspended production of 3 of them. The wide-ranging fraudulent testing in Japan at Japan's top automaker involved the use of inadequate or outdated data in collision tests and incorrect testing of airbag inflation, car rear seat damaging crashes. Engine power tests were also found to be falsified. Now they say that, of course, cliche, based in Toyota City, but they say the deceptive tests were also found in discontinued vehicles. Toyota said, we sincerely apologize after bowing deeply and holding position for several seconds as a customer in Japan at news conferences where companies apologize for misbehavior. Now they also note that, it'll be interesting to see how long it takes to actually fix these. And yeah, not good news for one of the most largest and successful automotive companies on the planet. And yeah, they've already had a couple recalls. If you watch the show, you see half the business bludders seem to be recalls, which again, there are usually 30,000 components on average of a vehicle, so I understand why there might be some recalls and it's not working perfectly. But this is an instance where they actually cheated on all these certifications, and they've had this bad of an issue in terms of optics or politics or compliances for several years. I mean, 2009 was probably the last controversy in that regard. The overall airbag issue, that was the largest recall in history. That affected pretty much every brand because they all use the Takata airbag technologies, or actual units as well. But yeah, Toyota continues to have issues, and now they've been found that they're actually covering up some actually cheating on the vehicle tests. And even worse news for shareholders, not going to be fines, but now they're halting the production of the vehicles, so the sales are going to be lackluster, to say the least. I gotta say, Toyota cheating on those exams and thereby eroding more public trust, especially in the short term, that certainly has to be the business blunder of the day. Thank you, everyone, for taking the time to tune in. Again, trying to get to 4,000 subscribers by the end of the month, so if you could click that button, I would greatly appreciate it. Also, giving me a thumbs up, thumbs down, or comment is a great way to give me some additional feedback, letting me know how I can make the show better and better. Lastly, don't forget to take the time to tell your family, tell your friends, tell your coworkers, heck, tell your enemies, tell anyone and everyone. Just stay safe, fight the good fight.